Okay, welcome everyone to eXp Explain. My name is Jonathan Woods. I've been at eXp for 4.5 years. I started in 2021. We're going to go through the eXp Explain deck. Might have to move my little face around on a couple of slides, yeah, really excited to share this with you. So eXp Explained, we're going to start with the slide deck here. We're going to move on to number one. So the most agent-eccentric estate agency business on the planet. So welcome to eXp. What is eXp? eXp is a global brokerage. We have over 87,000 agents globally. We're across now 29 countries of the world and came into the UK in 2019. I joined, as I said, in 2021. And one of the most amazing things about it is that it enables you to be able to build a business for yourself, but not being on your own, and giving you basically a estate agency in a virtual box. You have a almost like an angel investor, someone who's willing to forward purchase various things for you. Huge amounts of overhead normally come with starting a business, but eXp allows you to the freedom, the flexibility of a virtual environment. We don't need offices unless you want one, of course. You can have one, and we'll go through all of the things that eXp provides. But just to give you a bit of background on eXp. So, as I said, this slide this slide deck was created in 2024. I assume there's going to be a sort of official updated one soon, but back then we were 24 countries, now we're in 29 countries. Started in North America, went over to Canada, and then came over to the UK as the third country to be launched, and that was in 2019. And it's now been going obviously to 2026. I joined in 2021. I was agent number 324 in London. I think I was number 3 or 4. Back then it was very unknown, and and now over the course of that sort of period of time has become more and more well known, and we're now officially the largest, essentially group in the UK, and in London we've grown to through our organisation to the largest independent brokerage in London. So just to give you a global presence, as I said, we're not just a small independent brokerage that's set up in the UK. Across the globe, nearly 89,000, probably more than that, 90,000 brokers in 29 countries. So not only North America, but most of Europe, so Germany, France, Spain, Italy, and then further afield to Dubai, out to the Far East, South Africa. I'm heading down to South Africa for the first Africa conference in Cape Town in February, which we're super excited about. And what that does is it gives you a global referral network, global international business. Now, this is so important and so underestimated how powerful that is. I spend now a lot of time traveling the world, meeting agents from all different corners of the globe. And what that does is it broadens my connections with people so I can maintain referrals. I've met a lady who's got a place to sell in Como, Lake Como in Italy. I know someone to put that in touch with. I've now got a listing that's on the market in Lake Como. I get calls from people from Dubai, from India, from Africa, from Australia, all over the world, and this is eXp as a global business. And also, you've got contacts with everyone, very simply, very easy to meet people and to talk to them across our platforms. It's not like sort of trying to get hold of some random people in the middle of nowhere that don't have any connection with you. It's very collaborative and also secure. I think sometimes when we're dealing with connections, not only just nationally or within your own city, but across the country and further afield, there's always that worry, if you give something in business to someone, are you going to get paid? Well, eXp covers all of that off with our internal systems, and you can be rest assured that you will get everything that you're entitled to and that you're not going to get messed around. So visionary leadership. So Glenn Stanford set eXp up in 2009 in the States, and at the time, very early adoption of which it still is now. One of the greatest things, though, is that he is the founder. He's not the owner of eXp. It's traded on the NASDAQ as a globally traded shared company, which we'll go into in further detail very shortly. But eXp was the very first cloud-based agency model. In the US, the US tend to be about often many years ahead of us in lots of respects. But in estate agency, the evolution of the estate agency towards the brokerage model is a move towards the American way of doing business. But back in 2009, many brokerages in the US were bricks-and-mortar based, so it's very similar to us, having estate agencies and branches. And eXp turned that on its head and created a cloud-based agency and gave people a virtual access to real estate. And that's moved, as I said, it expanded out to Canada and then is now across all the countries of the world. And one of the things that was innovative when it came to the UK, I was always looking for a way to start a business. by myself. It was something I'd always aspired to do. My father was a businessman, and when he was alive, and in our world as estate agents, the traditional route to market was either have huge capital investment, meaning hundreds of thousands of pounds, get a branch, and then try to compete on brand, and that comes with extreme overhead and investment that obviously needs to be paid back. The other option was to go down the, so let's say, more sort of budget route, or of the sort of listing models such as purple bricks and the like. And there wasn't anything that really gave people who were of a, let's say, sort of more corporate minded, but also just wanted to run a estate agency their way. But really, it's the elimination or the stranglehold of the elimination that the overheads that are created by running a business, the investment that's required to get it off the ground. What eXp does is it gives you all of those things on a pay-as-you-go basis. So you pay your subscription, you're given all of the things we're going to talk about in a minute to get started, and it reduces that business overhead down to an incredibly low level. So really all you have to worry about is firstly your own personal burn rate. So how much does your life cost you? Obviously our sales process is a little bit slower than other parts of the world, 3, 4, 5, 6 months maybe to get a listing and sale through. But if you are looking at any business setup, not only your business costs and your personal costs are two very different things. If you set up a coffee shop, you need to buy coffee, you need to get a premises or a van to run it from. You have to buy a coffee machine. You've got to buy all of this inventory. If you're selling a shop clothes, you need to fill your clothes shop with that inventory and then sell it at a margin. With ourselves, with property, we have to market ourselves and then get people to give us the product that we need to sell and then sell it. So your actual acquisition overheads are extremely low. Where our real overheads come on is the tech and also portal and advertising costs, so Rightmove, Zoopla and the like. And we'll go through those which are provided to you. And sometimes people look at it and they go, well, I could do that myself and I could cover it. But you've got to remember, in that first 6 months, you're going to be paying everything out of your pocket on a pretense and hope that you sell. So what it does is it gives you a much better chance of that runway being successful. Okay, so eXp launched in 2019. The man who got the nod to set that up was Mr. Adam Day, our sort of expansion leader and visionary for the UK, and has done an incredible job on moving eXp from the shadows and the unknown to now where it stands. And I believe this year was voted on statistics as one of the largest independent agencies, and it's kind of misnomer on the way that it's described because we're all independent businesses. But Adam is a phenomenal guy. He's got great business acumen, has been able to drive this business and to give it the structure and the corporate realization that is required to run a business of this scale and a brokerage of this scale, and stood by it and believed in it. He's got some great credentials, as you can see on screen there. And Adam's always very free with his time and has been fantastic support for me and my business since I grew it since 2021. So really, what was the thing we've spoken about there, what my importance was, which was being able to start a business myself. And one of the things that really sort of still resonates within estate agency as a whole in the UK is that really it's always seen as kind of low pay and poor service. And to be honest, that's when I started out in 2006, it wasn't exactly like that. I think it was from post credit crisis, there was always a sort of race to the bottom in terms of fee and all the commisery sort of advertisement and all the basically the devaluing of our profession meant that fees got pushed down, and therefore it all became about volume, and even got to a point in some agencies where actually the selling of the homes is a lost leader, where really the money comes from selling ancillary or additional services, which again is completely bonkers. But also what that does is it attracts people of a certain caliber who, if you pay, as they say, if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. Not to say that there's anything bad about anyone within our industry, but that's it's an old adage. And if you look across the globe, our business is actually remunerated exceptionally well. It's very professional. We have very exacting standards. We do as well within the UK, but it's optional. I'm quite proud to have industry credentials, and I think it's a way forward. I think we should continue on with that. But what this does is it basically enables and empowers good quality agents, of which there are hundreds and hundreds. And if you're watching this video, I would assume that you're one of those people, either sat behind a desk currently, having worked for many years, who maybe thinks that they're undervalued, overworked and underpaid. Either someone who's aspirational for that, a young person. If someone had come to me with this opportunity not 15 years ago, probably maybe 5 years, 10 years ago, definitely, when I was sat as a negotiator, if someone had come and presented this to me and said, this is an opportunity that you can do, I would have bitten your hand off for it. I would have gone, where do I sign? What do I do to make this happen? And you might not be you right now, but it gives you the opportunity, the inspiration to save. You want to get on the housing ladder, you want to buy your first home, you've got to save, you've got to find a way to get that deposit. If you want to break free, you want to be a business owner, you want to be someone that's earning six figures, 500,000, 250,000, you want to have more time in your life, you want to have more autonomy, you want to do things your way, you want to turn it on its head, whatever it is, eXp will give that to you. You just got to make it happen, and that requires a bit of finance to get it off the ground, but also it means partnering with the right people to give you the right mentorship, and that is what eXp does. Is it gives people the opportunity to realize their dream. Let's move on to the next one. So I just need to move that across. So key points in the business model. Okay, this is your business. You work what you want. You don't work for eXp. Okay, forget that. You're not an eXp employee. It's your business, your name. Okay, we've got this little guy down here called Edward Peters. For me, when you join, it says Jonathan Woods, and it's got eXp here in the for sale. What you'll notice here is it's your name as for first and foremost, not eXp. eXp are your facilitator, your backer. I'm very proud of eXp. And I don't want to hide it, but if you look at any other brokerage that exists, when I was joining at the time, it was a choice between a few London brokers and a big firm, Keller Williams, American one. But every single one I looked at, we had brokerage in big letters here, and then at best I would have my name down here in the corner, and maybe my face. And at worst, I didn't even have that. You would just have the name of the brokerage. That to me is not building a sustainable personal brand. That is building someone else's. eXp allows you to build your personal brand name. Now, sometimes people think, oh, their name's but doesn't, how does anyone to know me? Well, of course, yeah, that's the point. You've got to build it. But bearing in mind that names in our industry are quite common. So I'll take Kinley, Folkard, and Hayward. If you're a London agent, you'll understand and remember that, know that is KFH. Most people will know who Knight Frank are. These are names, right? The names John D. Wood, another one in London. I'm just pulling these out of a hat. But these are names of people that we now associate with property. So why can't your name be associated with property? Jonathan Woods, well, everyone knows now around where I am that Jonathan Woods Real Estate. Jonathan Woods is a property business. So we make about you, as I said, forefront and centre. No one manages you. No one is expectation. There are no KPIs. There is no banging on the door. No one's going to say, right, I've given you 6 months worth of investment into your business. We've paid for your Rightmove and Zoopla. We've given you all of the things we're going to talk about. Website. We've given you all of this stuff. We've built and invested. Where's our sales? Come on, where are they? The ones at the broker owner that sat sweating and thinking, goodness me, I've got 5 or 6 brokers here that are not doing any business and they're costing me a fortune. We're going to cull this guy. Let's get rid of him. Because believe me, that is something which will be on the lips of many people that own brokerages, is that if you are the one that's keeping the lights on, bear in mind we've got huge financial backing, £1.7 billion market cap company. You are safe and secure in building the business your way. So if you want to run a lifestyle business and sell one home every couple of months, go ahead. If you're the person that wants to do other things on the side and do this as well as a kind of a part-time, that's up to you. If you're the guy that's going to be spending every single day prospecting, running around, making sales, you're the superstar. Absolutely brilliant. No one's setting targets. There are personal targets you can set for yourself, of course, but no one's managing you. You set your own fees. There is a minimum fee that eXp will take for you from your sale. And it's a couple £100 on lettings. Again, it's about 150, I think it is. But you charge what you want to charge. So if you're a high volume, low fee type of person, then that's you. Off you go. If you're someone that wants to stand behind a high fee and present that as being a more luxury premium product, that's up to you. No, you set your fees. No one dictates what you do. You receive minimum 70%. 70%. When I was on High Street, I was getting 10% as a manager, 5%, 4%, 3%, sometimes 2%, I think in some places, maybe even less. eXp will pay you 70% minimum of any fee that you generate. And this is actually even better later on. You'll see what I mean by that when it comes to cap. So if you sell a home at, I'm going to use London figures here, but obviously you can change that for your area. But let's say you've got a £10,000 fee, then you are going to receive £7,000 of that fee. So bearing that in mind, if that £10,000 fee was done on the high street, you'd be getting 1,000 as a max as 10% and maybe 500 quid as a manager. It's bonkers. It's amazing. And that is incredible because one, all you're paying is your subscription, which is 125 plus VAT for sales, or 175 plus VAT for lettings as well, included. So that's both. You become the co-owner of this business. You have a ability to become a shareholder in this business from the outset. When I was working at a very big London firm, they floated an IPO back in 2013. I did not get a single penny. I didn't get any shares, didn't get any options, got nothing. Most companies won't allow you to get into their share program or be part of a partner until you make partner. As eXp, you are a partner in that business from the outset. I have now quite a significant shareholding in eXp as I've gone through the last 4.5 years. You also get gifted shares for various different milestones, and we'll talk about that in a second. Creating lifetime revenue streams. We have 4 revenue streams at eXp. We have sales, we have rentals. In fact, it's 5 actually. We have sales, official for 4. We have sales, we have rentals, we have equity of being co-owner as part of the business, as I just mentioned, and we also have revenue share, which I'll talk about in a second. The 5th one would be things like sundry costs and referrals, so maybe with solicitors or mortgage brokers. Just going to move this out of the way. Tools and resources. So we'll go into a bit more depth in a second. We've got local CRM. So for us, it's Loop. We have a brilliant CRM system. I started my career at Foxtons, which had a bespoke internal system called Boss, which everyone who has been there would sing its praises and say it's probably one of the best systems out there. But that was built solely for Foxtons. I've been to a couple of other different agencies, of which CRMs have always worked quite well. Loop is a very, very good system. It works intuitively. It works very well for all people that have used it. Obviously, it's always, and to be honest, and also the founder and the MD are great people, always available. Mark Bevan and Ollie Gleave, and also their support systems are brilliant, and they're always looking to innovate and always available to help you. The support response on support is brilliant as well. Marketing platforms, we get access to Rightmove, Zoopla, and On the Market, and you can also self-brand and market amongst your social media channels. We have, and you can use obviously Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn as your own personal brand, not the brokerage brand. Which is key and important about building up your own business. And that thing comes with buying power. eXp have such a huge volume and therefore can negotiate very good fees with things like board provision. We've got our sort of AML platforms and signing platforms, which are all included as part of your subscription. So really good in respect to those tools. Cloud-based, we've spoken about that in terms of cloud. You can work from anywhere. I've got access to Loop on my phone. I've got access to Loop on my laptop. I've worked and had the privilege of traveling to many countries of the world in the last 4 years. I've been to the States a number of times, obviously, with eXpCon and going to Miami. I've been to Las Vegas. We've been to Orlando. And I've worked from all of these areas. Went to Costa Rica with the family. We went out to Barbados. We're going to South Africa in February. All of these things, I can still maintain my business and can still keep going because of the tech and global support and the ability to be able to work from anywhere in the world. Training development, there is a fantastic, huge wealth of knowledge that's available, not only officially, so through the eXp University online, we have lots and lots of training programs. They also have continuous learning. We're about to go through an agent-led training week or 2 weeks, of which I'm taking part of for one of the senior brokers. Be putting back and giving back to our community of agents. We do that officially via the eXp channels once or twice a year. And then also we have eXpCon, which is our national conference last year at Birmingham. There's international conferences. I went to Lisbon. I've been to Barcelona. As I mentioned, also the international conferences further afield outside of Europe. Next is Salt Lake City. There's in Vancouver and Paris. So all of these places are places to learn. I've learned so much about AI and obviously great from a networking point of view. But also just to talk about our organisation, the org, which is our internal organisation that we've built through myself and my partner agents. We have weekly calls with our team if anyone that is interested in learning a little bit more about business growth, marketing, lead generation. And also we put on now our own personal events, which is once a quarter, along with sort of senior building seminars and soon to be away days. So lots of training and development that's available there. And to be honest, what I found across the eXp framework is most people are more than happy to offer you their time. But internally within the org, it's what we built it upon. Okay, so next, compliance, the lovely fun side of estate agency, but super important. One of the things which I was worried about was, when you're running your own business by yourself, is making mistakes. One of the great things with setting up with EXP is that you are given it very much your business. Okay, so you're the buck stops with you. You're not an employee, but the fact that you have these set kind of fail safes and things to make sure that you're doing things right is invaluable. So we have a comprehensive AML checker platform which we use, which is included at no cost. Well, not at no cost, but within your subscription of 125 plus VAT. That you can check your IDs, you can do your proof of address and KYC checks and PIP checks. That's all done electronically. You can do the same for lettings and do your sanctions checks. That is all documented on a very good system where you can add notes and put all of the IDs in there withheld. We have an e-signing platform through Realty Sign, which again is inclusive in that. Client billing and chasing solicitors for debt management. This is something which people really don't appreciate. Before we go on to that, just a quick one on the AML checking. I had the pleasure of an HMRC audit 2 years ago, which was terrifying to say the least. But the fact that I had EXP's gone through the correct protocol of getting biometric checks on each of my files, I was able to provide HMRC with all of the detail that they required, and I was approved and passed that audit. Without that in place, I mean, goodness, who knows what would have happened, but the fines are astronomical. And that gives you sort of, safe in the knowledge that you're doing things right. Obviously, the buck does stop with you, and you need to make sure that you do it. Just got a client billing. So let's say you do it by yourself, or you go out and sell a home. You've got a client who then tries to do the dirty on you. And I had this happen to me. Someone tried to get out of here by reselling it back to my introduction. Now, her response was, ha, 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 see you in court. Her thought was that I'm being an independent and small business, that I wouldn't have the funds or the wherewithal to be able to chase her in court. What she didn't realise or didn't understand was that I am a partner with EXP. So part of the debt is EXP's debt. EXP have quite a lot of financial and legal muscle. So following some investigation and further inquiry with our solicitors and lawyers from the States, she backtracked very, very quickly. So your sales are safeguarded by the might of EXP behind you, which is very comforting. And I was very impressed by the support that was offered in that regard. Lettings, we do offer lettings for all you lettings people. For people that know my background, back in the day, I was in lettings. I still own property that I buy to let, that I've got rented out, so I am a landlord. Lettings is very different to sales, a little bit more complex and getting more complex now with all the reforms that are coming through. But for all of you that are skilled in lettings, we have a very comprehensive setup which allows you to do that and process your tenancies. We have CMP provision, so you don't need to have your own client money protection. The split's the same on 70/30 and goes towards your cap, and also towards things like, towards Icon, which we'll talk about later. And for those of you who are sales agents that are thinking, I don't know much about lettings, we've got great supports within the org to help you to be able to grow your lettings business. I've got lots of sales agents now that have got good lettings portfolios, and the lettings there great. It gives you buffering towards the ups and the downs and the sort of roller coaster that is the sales market. Loop, we spoke about that briefly. Absolutely phenomenal platform, really good, really intuitive. Drag and drop your photos in, descriptions are easy to write. You can self-generate brochures. You can do all of your offers, your memorandum of sales, your lettings is done exactly the same way. You can also use it for referring clients to other EXP members across the UK, meaning that if you have a buyer or a seller in a different part of the country, you can use the Loop platform to be able to refer that business, to lock that percentage in that you've got as a referral, and send that over to a broker in all parts of the country, which is amazing. You've got all the statistics. It's linked with Rightmove Plus, so you get the statistics for your properties in terms of view rates and click-throughs, which is brilliant because it means that you can just do it direct without even having to go into a separate platform. You can do prospecting from it, which is what I pay for as a separate charge. You can buy postcodes, get the data for all that, and start sending out letters. Brilliant system, and as I said, always willing to innovate, to take on board or suggestions for improvement. And they're always adding new and more detail and new things to Loop. So I'm really, really pleased with it and love it. Lead gen, we've got access to various touting platforms, as I just mentioned, through Loop. We also, within the org, have ability to offer you direct training on our lead generation tactics and things that have worked for ourselves. We've got a number of very high-profile agents, include Icon agents, all of part of the organisation, which would be available to you as part of the org if you decide to join us. Rightmove, Zoopla, so these are our marketing portals that you get given. For those of you who don't know, Rightmove is very, very, very expensive, and the it's one of the one of the biggest overheads that anyone has as a marketing cost. Rightmove is included in your subscription, and so is Zoopla on the market. We also have, and all of those will go through the inquiries directly to your email address, and also as a push notification through Loop Pocket on your phone, which is amazing. You're out and about, you get a push notification through. You've got an inquiry, you can just get straight onto that through Loop and call it straight in real time. What a great USP! If you're the business owner, you're out there on evaluation. You know that when that client instructs you, and you can tell them this explicitly, that when that new inquiry comes through, that you're on it. If you're the business owner, you'll be up on a Sunday afternoon, and you'll take that call and send the email. Or the calling. So if you happen to be out and about with family, friends, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is, and also just out and about on evaluation. If someone calls, then they will have a human pick up that phone and speak to them, not AI, not a call answering service, but a human who they will speak to in real time and be able to give their details over, and then we'll be able to pick up and send that directly to you as an email with all the details on for you to add into the system, which is brilliant because that means that someone is always looking after your stuff. And that's included. By the way, that is also very expensive. So point being, again, we spoke about this at the start, eXp are forward purchasing this. You start your business, whatever your costs are for your rent and life, you get that down to a minimum. You go out there and do what you're good at, listing, finding potential clients. Sometimes it took me a month to get my first listing, right? A lot of people do it a lot quicker now. But the point is eXp are picking up this bill and paying this for you. You're not building up a huge debt and drag. And it's on a pretense that you are going to be successful. No one's coming after you. If you might want to pause that business for a little while, you might have a family issue, you might have something, you might want to go traveling, you want to go and do whatever it is in your life. You can pause and just pay your subscription without having that huge Rightmove Zoopla bill, and that is it's kind of invaluable, especially when you start to get more successful and you get more and more properties on the market and your pipeline grows. I meet some very successful business people with big businesses, but they can't take a holiday because they've got these massive costs, whereas I can and we can, and that's because of the power of eXp. Home Hunter, I'm going to touch on this very, very sort of lightly. It's a new innovation. We've also got Canva Pro, which is part of our subscription. Canva is for those that don't know, is a brilliant graphic design program that enables you to create brilliant posts and flyers, and it's all done on great templates and very easy to use. Collaboration, like I said, this was done in 2024. Workplace has actually been shut down by Meta, so that doesn't exist anymore. We've now got Slack, which we use, and soon to be possibly more of an in-house bespoke setup. But the key on this is that you have access to some great groups for collaboration through our Slack network, and then also internationally, you can reach any broker that you want directly, and you have all of their contact details. There is quite an innovative setup with eXp, which is called the World. It's almost like a metaverse. It's a little bit like a computer game. Bit odd, bit weird in some cases. Some people think that. Actually, it's extremely useful and very progressive. You can actually walk into someone's office. You can go into tech support. If you go onto that, rather than waiting for an email or a response, if you go to the World, you can walk straight into the tech people, and they will help you. If you want to go and speak to HR, or you want to go and speak to someone that's in onboarding, you can just go and straight into the office via the World. You have a little avatar and walk around. It's quite fun. This one, Regis, people really underestimate or sort of undervalue this as a perk or as an inclusion within the package. So I live in London. I work at home sometimes, and most of the time I'm out and about running around town, going to different places. But I really like to work in an office environment twice, 3 times a week. It's a really lovely place to be. We have one in Battersea Power Station, which is just phenomenal. But these are worldwide, so you can go to any Regis in the world. And I mean, I went to New York and needed to go and do some work, and I just booked into the Times Square Regis, popped in there. I was like, oh my God, look, I'm in an office in New York. This is crazy. But it's great for meeting clients if you want something nice to meet people. And just maybe you can just set your desk up, have a coffee. There's a receptionist there if you want to meet someone. It just looks a little bit more professional rather than meeting them necessarily in a coffee shop or a bar or a club. So support and community. So there's two things on here, which is the sort of wider national community of eXp, and then I'll talk a little bit about our collaboration network called the Org. But throughout the UK and nationally, we have some really good corporate things that are put on. And I've been to all the Christmas parties. I call them Christmas parties. They're sort of like award ceremonies. Absolutely amazing. We had Jimmy Carr this year, which was just phenomenal. It was at the Dorchester Hotel. It was brilliant. We have a national conference last year at Birmingham, which was a huge success over 2 years. We've got some great brand ambassadors at the moment. It's Victoria Pendleton. It used to be Roger Black, as you can see there on a photo. And we run masterminds, which are again put on by eXp. But within our own community, which is the Org, we have 4 events now that's planned for this year. Where we also have sort of now regional ones within London, and we're starting to help people to grow that further out. We also have the opportunity to travel internationally, which is amazing. So one thing to bear in mind is that each person that is a broker at eXp runs their own business. We are empowered to run it in our way. You build your brand, your client base, and your income. And it feels like, when I started, it felt like it was already, just starting to get sort of momentum. And now we've gone from myself in 2011 to 145 agents across London and the UK. eXp now is upwards of 800 agents. I was number 324, I think, when I started. And really, though, to outside in, it might look like it's kind of finished, but we're not even getting started. I mean, if you look at the thousands of agents out there and the move towards self-employment now, and the empowerment that eXp gives you to build a business and to unlock your freedom, it gives you whatever it is that you want. So again, this is an evolution to the next level, which means that when you start out as Jonathan Woods, or whatever your name is, Jonathan Woods eXp. And then once you've capped, which we'll talk about when we go to fees and charge in a second, or commissions, sorry. When you cap, if you do 20 deals above cap or whatever the qualifying is at the time when you join, you are empowered, if you wish, to start your own team. So I'm about to launch as a team now. I could have done this some time ago, but I decided to hold off on doing that while I was going through last year's expansion. But I can launch as my own brand now. So whatever that design brand you want to be. So across UK, we have some brands that are just expansions of people's names, but some people decide to use completely different brands. So we have, say, Riva Lily, which is, we've got Footprint set up by Scott Gunn, which is down in Kent. And there are lots of now particular individual brands that are eXp branded as well. So that gives you your own separate portal on Rightmove, meaning you've got your own personal brand, not just your name, if you want to call it, I don't know, whatever it is, the designs that you want to do. And that also allows you to build up brokers within that team that you can help support to grow, but also then have a connection to you in terms of remuneration. eXp Luxury, if you work in the luxury space, we have extra facility for that to give you a little bit more visibility and access to global innovations and collaborative network spheres. Marketing assistance, so we've got lots of templates that you can use, so for things like letterhead, for your sales boards, and for templates. And then also we've got social media content that's provided every month. If you want to use that as templates for your social media, you can get and use that for free. Networking, I touched on sort of the international ability to go to different conferences. I love them. They're brilliant. You get to travel to different parts of the world when finances allow. And the uplift you get in your business from that is just phenomenal. This year I'm going to Cape Town for the Africa conference. I'm going to Paris for the international conference. I'm going to Utah for an American conference, and possibly we'll go into Vancouver. We'll see. But those are just amazing opportunities to travel. And also bearing in mind, when you're a business owner, you get to do that as a business expense, because it is a complete a legitimate travel to further business expense. Just going to add on this. This is put in obviously from a corporate point of view in terms of diversity and charitable incentives. eXp has for whatever walk of life it is, you follow creed, colour, or race. Doesn't matter. If you look across the org, we have great diversity across the org, and across eXp as a whole. We do there's a lot of charity events. Every year when I go to EXPCon, I run for the Extend a Hand charity fun run, which they do every year, which is great. That gives support to agents across the globe that are unfortunate enough to come across hard times through adversity or through sort of natural disasters, etc. And there's also various other things that the UK does for homeless charity Centrepoint. There was a golf day last year, which was really fun, and I'd like looking forward to see what comes up for this year. This is another corporate slide, which we'll just go through in terms of community engagement, environmental stewardship, and ethical conduct. And eXp is committed to maintaining all three of those pillars of corporate responsibility. Okay, so on to the exciting part, which is how you get paid. So let's talk about the commission splits. So 70-30. So the compensation structure is a 70-30 split on all the fees that you generate, up to a cap. Now, we'll talk about that in a second. So let's just go 70-30. Let's call it, just for the sake of mathematics, we're going to call it a £10,000 fee, which, let's say in my area, if you sell something at 500,000 on 2%, that's 10,000. I appreciate for other parts of the UK, that might be a high fee. For others in central London, it might be a low fee. Who knows? But just for the sake of argument, I'm going to use £10,000 because it's easy to do from the top of my head. So £10,000 split. So £7,000 goes to you, 3,000 goes to eXp. That's your commission split. That's where you sign up for. From that 3,000, they're going to pay for all the things we've just gone through, and also you'll see other things come from that in a second. Now that is capped at. Now it says 24 on the screen. What does that mean? So that means £24,000 of paid commission to eXp. That works out at 80,000. So if you do 80,000 times 30%, that is 24,000. So you would earn, if you'd done 80 grand, you would get 56,000 in your pocket, and eXp get 24,000. That is classed as capping. That means that eXp now will give you 100% of your commission, and then for each, but minus each and every deal that you do, you'd pay eXp a £250 transactional fee. So if you cap, let's take year one. So year one, my year one, I didn't cap. Most people don't cap in year one, but I got very close to it because you're starting from a standing start. You're trying to find listings. You're building a business. But I still managed to get very close. I think I was about £5,000 off. So I probably made about 50 grand that year in year one. And a lot of people on watching this video might think, oh, okay, well, maybe I'm earning more than that where I am now. Well, yes, you are, but you've got to think about that's your business growth. But bearing in mind, I went into year two with 85 grand in the pipeline, right? So that meant that then by January the second year, I capped. So I capped in 4 months in my second year. And this is where the magic happened. So that means then for 8 months of that year, I was getting 100% commission. So my year two was 5x year one. So I think we did just shy of $250,000 in year two. And that is where the magic happens. So year one is about build. Year two is consolidation and realization and crystallization of all the work that you put in. And that's the upside for it. And then the sky's the limit from that point onwards. All that for £125 plus VAT is 150 quid a month. You pay 150 to get in the program. So it blows my mind. It really does. How much you get for putting in 150 quid. And bearing in mind, this cap here is, and this commission split, like I said from the start, is pay as you go. So someone might say over the course of the year, you're paying £2,000 a month. So I've got, I could pay that to Rightmove, and I've met business owners that kind of say, well, maybe it doesn't make sense. It's like, yeah, but what you're forgetting here is that you're doing that regardless. So if you have like 3 fall throughs, you've still got to pay your commission. You've got to pay your bills. Whereas with us, you only pay that when it completes and when it goes through. So 70-30, 100% after cap, and that resets every year. So every year you come back again. I could run my business by myself for less than 24 grand. It's just not possible, and that's the benefit of eXp's buying power and economy of scale. Let's go on to the next slide. Let's get rid of that. Okay. I think I've gone back one. No. Equity. There we go. So equity, we talked about the revenue stream. So we've got sales and rentals. That's on your cap. So 70/30 up to cap. After that's 100%. You have the opportunity, if you wish, to enter into what we call the AEP program, which is Agent Equity Program, and that is a opportunity to buy EXPI shares at 5% below market value from your commissions, of which you can add 5% of each commission check into that program. So from that £10,000 deal, 5%, so £500, you could buy and you could put into the program. Let's say they're trading at $10 a share. You'd get them at 9.5, so you're getting a 5% discount on the share price, and then that will grow over time. And you can put in obviously as much as you want. You can continue that for as long as you want, and that money that you're putting in is cashable, so you can extract that whenever you wish. It's managed by Morgan Stanley, and you can take it out whenever you want to. You also get gifted shares for certain things, so certain milestones. If you cap, you get gifted shares. If you first deal every year, bizarrely, you're doing your job for the first deal you do, you get gifted shares. And also if you bring in agents, so if you sponsor agents into the business, if you attract agents to join eXp, they will give you shares as well. And so that's it's a little nest egg. It's something which I subscribe to, and it goes into every year. And from that point onwards, at one point maybe I will cash them in, but we'll see. And then the next is the revenue share model, which is one we'll touch on in a second when we get to that slide. So let's move on to the next one. So equity awards, we just went through that. So you get these awards, like I said, if you opt in. So first sale, get £160. When you cap, you get £320, and you get £320 of stock directly for attracting agent. These are vestable, so you need to stay for 3 years to get this part. But the bits that you invest in, so this part here, you're able to cash that out whenever you want. If you are a top producer, so if you Icon. And so Icon is done in two ways. You either create 400,000 per annum in gross commission income, so meaning revenue, or you sell 50 homes or do 50 transactions. In lettings, it would be a little bit more because it's slightly less, but we can work that out if you're a lettings agent. But if you hit 50 deals above your cap, you get granted $16,000 every year in stock, which is quite mental. And this is what Icon is. So you can see you get 8,000 directly, and then you get 4,000 for helping out at various different things, and you get 4,000 for going to eXp events. Revenue share. Okay, so move my little face out of the way up here. Now, revenue share, I'm going to go to the next slide just for the first point because it explains it slightly better in order, in my opinion. So what is revenue share? So fourth revenue stream, it's a way that eXp rewards agents who engage in helping eXp to grow. So if you are interested in watching this video and you are wanting to join eXp, I would hope you'd book a call with me via the link below, which will come up at the end of the video, or you would drop me an email or get hold of me. But also, if you've been speaking to someone else at eXp, you might want to contact them. But let me know if you are as well, if you've watched this video. With that, you need to come into eXp via someone else. So they need to recommend you. You need to go through someone to join up. And eXp rewards people that have engaged in that work. And that's done through a share of generated revenue for eXp. So going back to that split of 70/30, so £10,000 deal, 7,000 goes to the agent, which is this pile of pie here. And then 3,000 is eXp's money. What they do is they just take off 10% of there as a reserve, so that would be held up. So on that figure, that would be £1,000 here. And commission split here, that would be their 2,000. That 2,000 is split into half. 1,000 goes to the company, the other half goes to revenue share. And that is shared out amongst the introducing brokers. So we'll go back to the slide above. So tiers, so tier one would be the agents that you personally introduce to the business. So if you start up, you're doing really well, you speak to James and say, hey, James, look, you should come and see this eXp thing. It's pretty amazing. I'd really love you to be able to spend more time with your family, earn more money, have more autonomy, have more time, do things your way, whatever it is. I think you should have a look at this model. So they look at it and they go, yeah, great, that sounds brilliant. I'm going to sign up. So they sign up, that's classed as your tier one agent. So then you help them to do business, you show them what to do, you give them the guidance and support. and eventually they'll sell something, and they sign up for the same split as you, 70/30. Well, that revenue share split, which we just went through a minute ago, which is the £2,000, will go into a pool, and you would receive whatever that deal is. You would receive 17.5% of that revenue share pool. And that's, on average somewhere, but it can vary depending on the size of the deal. A couple of 10, 50, 100, 120 pounds, whatever it is. Small, not huge numbers, but it compounds obviously the more people. So you bring in James, and you go and meet someone called Sarah, and then Rachel and David, and you start to introduce these people. Well, as they grow and they start to do business, you will start to get little bits of revenue back to say thank you for bringing these people in, and also thank you for helping them to be successful. And that's the point here. It's not parasitic. We're not taking money off people's plates. We're not taking it out of their pockets. eXp choose to share back their profit to the people that have helped them to become successful. So I don't have anyone taking money out of my pocket. eXp should decide if I'm productive, which I am a cap every year. So the introducing brokers that brought me into it have a share of that commission split. And that goes down to tier 2, which is for people that have been brought in by that person. So agent 1 brings in another agent. You get 19%, 12%, and that goes down the tiers, as you can see. So that's revenue share explained. If you're interested in more of it, I've got a separate video on revenue share. You can have a look at that and listen through it. And it's something which gives you a long-lasting and recurrent income stream for you to be able to exit out of your sort of day-to-day job at some point in life. And like I said, that cascades down. So you can be one agent here, bring in 5 people here, they bring in 2, they bring in 3. These people will also be part of your revenue share group. So just to cap off with a couple of points here. So just basically just run through these questions. Can I join if there is no experience? Well, no, you do need to have 2 years worth of agency experience in order to be able to join. There is a route to market if you haven't got experience at that level if you join a team. So if you see a team member and team owner and you're aspired to do it and you want to learn, you can approach them and see whether you can get in. But the prerequisite for any broker that is wanting to join as an individual would be 2 years worth of experience. Are there any exclusive territories? No, you can sell wherever you want nationally. And also, like I said, you can refer internationally. You can grow your estate agency business wherever you want. You're not tied into specific plots. Minimum time period? No, you can stay for as long as you want, or you can leave whenever you want. It's your data, it's your pipeline. If you decide you want to go, it's 2 weeks' notice. You can take all your stuff with you. No one owns your lettings. It's your lettings book. If you want to sell that, you can sell it. It's your data, your stuff. Conveyancing and mortgages. We've got referrals. If you want to send it to them, you can go towards your cap. But if you want to use your own referrals, you can. What's the initial setup costs? I get this a lot, and we'll go through a separate video in terms of the sort of ins and outs of how that works. But there are a few things that you have to satisfy for compliance, which is AML. Broadening the top property ombudsman and ICO regulation. You'll also have to have a DBS check, which an HMRC regulation for your bank. It's going to cost about 1,500 quid to 2,000 to get it going, and that £2,000 includes things that they've mentioned there, like for sale boards and business cards and headed paper. You may not want to do that to start off with. It's going to be, let's say, around 1,200 as a bare bones. But when you look at what it costs to start any business, you've got to have something to get it going, right? And then sort of when do I get paid and how long does it take and how much you need to spend? Well, look, if you're conservative about it, most sales take 3 to 4, 5 months to go through. So it's going to take you, a little while to start getting paid. I would say that you need 6 months worth of money, really, 6 months of your burn rate. But you've got to think, how can you get that down to a reasonable level? Are you overspending? And also, what's your dream cost and what's your business? What is it going to cost to get it off the ground? Bear in mind, this is personal burn rate. Actual business spend. To be fair, if you realise social media is free, you don't need to spend huge amounts of money on print marketing, on sort of supports and everything else in your first year. I think I spent about £4,000 over the year. But obviously my outgoings on my personal rate were a bit higher. I've got 2 children than, say, someone who's a single guy or girl that may not have the sort of overheads that I have personally. And then the last one was, will I be successful? Well, that's up to you. But also it's about partnering with the right people, being surrounded by the right business mentors and people that can allow you and enable you to grow your business. And that's the key point when deciding and discussing what you're going to do with eXp and whether you join is also consider who you're joining with and the support that they can give you. So look, if you are ready to get going, I will put into the comments a link to either book a call or to speak to either your person that this has been sent to. Please speak to them if it's not come directly from me. If you've been referred, if you've been sent this video, please speak to your introducer. And also, they will send you a link if you want to get started. You'll then get a call from our onboarding. But we're really excited to have anyone join us. We're a very supportive group, and really look forward to hearing from you in the future. If you want to join, we look forward to seeing you.